Coming up on the show, we've got singer-guitarist Michael Sweet. He is best known for fronting the band Stryper, but he's also done really cool projects with George Lynch, Tracii Guns, and Joel Hoekstra. And today we'll get an update on new music and touring with Stryper, Michael's health update and his eye stuff, his thoughts on Metallica being canceled, and more. He's an open book. This is a great interview, very entertaining. Stay right there. Okay, you ready to do this?
Yeah, pardon my appearance, man. I literally just stepped out of the shower. I had eye surgery. My eye's nasty still. So I'm wearing sunglasses and a Michael Sweet beanie, and here I am.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you about the eye. How's it? I know you had the detached retina. Like, that sounds kind of scary.
It is scary. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. And my retina detached in November of last year, and I had surgery, and that was pretty tough. I had to do face down for a couple of weeks. Really be careful. And then not long after surgery and the face down, it redetached. So I had to have a secondary surgery, and that was even more brutal. Had to do the same thing all over again, healed up, made the album, and they had to put oil in my eye for 6 months. I just had that removed surgically, and they put a new lens in my eye. My eye is not liking any of this at all.
What causes a detached retina? I mean, that's...
Well, they keep telling me it's hereditary, but I can't find anybody in my family that's had this issue.
Yeah. It's not an injury or something that would something like you didn't fall or get hit or...
I did. I'm one of those guys. I'm the best case scenario for this because they say it's hereditary, but I also had some trauma to my head when I was a child. And it did cause a partially detached retina. So, yeah, in theory, that absolutely played a big part in it. And then the other thing they say is my retinas are really thin, which is abnormal. And I'm nearsighted, which nearsighted people are more prone to retinal detachments.
Okay. Well, it's amazing they can, basically they can fix it, though, right? I mean, it's healing.
It's healing. It is. I mean, the big question is going to be in time, how will my vision be? Mm-hmm. Right now, it's pretty bad. Everything is kind of blurry and not only blurry, but if I look at a straight line, it's crooked.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, everything's really, it just isn't right. And when I try to look through both eyes, I'll get a headache after an hour. So I wear a patch a lot still. And I think in time, it's going to be pretty good. I do.
So it's just the one eye, though, right? The other one's fine?
Well, no. The other eye, when I went and had surgery on this, they checked this eye, and it had 2 tears.
Jeez.
This had 2 retinal tears. And the retina didn't detach. What they had to do was laser surgery on that. And they blasted each tear around the tear to create scar tissue, so it would make it stronger and it wouldn't tear anymore like a curtain, Oh.
Interesting. Well, hopefully it's all works out. I mean, it sounds like they're working on it. It's amazing what they can do with technology and medical science.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I keep telling the doctor, I just wish you guys were advanced enough where you had bionic eyes. I just say, put a new eye in.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Well, so to the music, I mean, that's no pun intended, but the new single is called See No Evil, Hear No Evil. And it's a great heavy riff with a sing-along chorus. I love this.
Well, good. I'm glad you like it, man. It harkens back, obviously, to bands that we grew up on, like Black Sabbath. And, Sabbath is a big influence of ours, and it has a similar dun, 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 kind of groove. We love those kinds of grooves lately. And we had a song called The Valley that was similar. And, yeah, it's really interesting. And the pun in that lyric, pun intended, was the fact that Oz lost his hearing in one ear and I've lost my vision. So I kind of wrote the lyrics with a smile on my face, kind of poking fun at that to a degree,
Yeah. So that wasn't it. That's funny.
It was. And I mean, you gotta kind of laugh at things and smile through life because we all get curveballs and have our own issues. And you can either let them control you, or you can control them or it. And,
right.
We're just kind of say, hey, whatever. At least we're still alive, and it could always be worse.
Definitely. It can always be worse. And then the other song off the new album, Rise to the Call, there's some crazy guitar solos. And is that's you and Oz trading off?
It's Oz and I trading off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's how a lot of the album is Oz and I trading off. We're getting ready to go to Nashville next week and shoot 2 videos. And their music videos. So what'll be really nice is people will be able to see who does what.
Oh, yeah.
And again, Transgressor is a song that we trade off on. I think Oz starts it and then I finish it. And then the other video is I'm playing the guitar solo on, and then Oz comes in the end with the harmony. But it's always interesting, the whole guitar thing, because people look at me as a singer, and I think sometimes they forget that I play guitar, which is, just the way it is. That's fine. But I like to remind them that I play from time to time.
Yeah, well, because you're in that band Iconic, right? And you just play guitar. You don't sing in that one. Nathan James is a singer.
I just play guitar. I mean, Joel is covering a lot of the solos on that album,
right?
Rightfully so. But yeah, I just play guitar. I'm doing 2 duets with Nathan, and there's other projects that I've done that I just play guitar on. And it's that excites me more than singing, playing guitar. I've been playing since I was 5, and we used to be a trio way back when. We were a band called Rock's Regime, and we were a trio. My brother, myself, and Eric Johnson on bass. And I don't know that a lot of people know that or really need to know that. Not to take anything away from Oz, by no means. But for whatever reason, I'm not sure. It's really interesting. I have people come up to me all the time, and I've got to the point where I literally laugh because it's funny. It's really funny. And they come up to me after a show and they say, I never knew you played guitar. And I'm like, sometimes I'll say to them in a bit of a joking, snarky way, I'll say, then you must not know who we are. Because if you go back and watch all the old videos, I'm playing guitar in all the videos. So it's just so interesting to me. It's funny.
Yeah. So the new album, is that coming out? It's coming out this fall. Do we have a date on that?
It is coming out in October. Don't have an exact specific date, but I want to say it's mid to late October.
Okay.
Prior to that, we have a couple more songs coming out. We have a music video coming out end of August, and another music video coming out in September, and then the album, and another release day song coming out with the album.
What is the album called? Do you have a title, or can you say it?
I do, and I can say it. Yeah, it's out there kind of already. It's called The Final Battle.
Okay. And what is that
really cool.
reference to?
Wait till you see the artwork. It's killer.
What is that? What is Final Battle about?
Well, I have people asking that question already, wondering if it's our final album. And it's interesting because that was in the back corners of my mind when we were thinking about the title. It was, is this our final album? Could this be our final album? Well, you never know. And life changes so dramatically and radically that you wake up and you say, well, okay, I didn't see this coming, obviously with my eyes and Oz's brain surgery and whatnot. And, we're not getting any younger. So I don't think it'll be our last album, but you never know. But really the story behind the title and the artwork is the Battle of Armageddon, which is ultimately the final battle, biblically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we're referring to for the most part.
Do you think that is like coming soon? Because I have some friends that feel like we're in those times, we're close to those times now.
Well, I tell you, man, if you say that in today's world, boy, you are labeled an instant loon. You're a loon. You're crazy, and you need to be committed, and you're out of your mind. But yet, at the same time, when you go through the Bible, and if you were to really dive deep into the Bible and have someone explain the theory of it to you and the stories that are behind the stories, so someone really smart who isn't me, they could explain to you stuff that would make your chin hit the floor, and all the stuff that is the Bible predicted that has already taken place. And really, the only thing left is God's return and what follows after that. And one of those things being the Battle of Armageddon. So people can laugh and sneer and think, Christians are crazy, and that's fine. I believe in the Bible. I believe what it says. And I think those times are coming. I think we're living in those times. Absolutely, for sure. We live in a very interesting world. And I think everyone could at least agree on that times have changed dramatically over the past 2 years.
Definitely. No, it's weird times for sure. So you think it's like really, we're like on the cusp of this?
Yeah, I do. And, those people out there who watch this moment when I say, yeah, who roll their eyes and think I'm crazy, that's fine. You guys can go ahead and keep thinking people like myself are crazy, but it's the only thing I can say to that is when that day comes and it's reality, obviously everyone will know that those who believed weren't crazy. And then at that point, it'll be too late for the people who thought those people were crazy.
Right. Well, I think the people that get labeled crazy are the ones that say like the world is going to end, and then they say a specific date, and then the world doesn't end, and then they're like, oh, they're crazy.
Well, yeah, and the Bible's very clear about that too. No man will know the hour. No man knows the hour. You can't sit and, okay, according to this timeline, yeah, he's coming on this day. And that's what people try to do. You can't. I think we're definitely living in the end times, but that could be short. That could be relatively soon in the very near future, or that could be in the relatively distant future. I don't think it's going to be hundreds of thousands of years from now, but I think that it's coming, and our time is marked. And look, we may get hit by a giant comet before God comes back. Who knows? But I think sometimes we think we're invincible. Nothing can hurt us, and obviously, COVID kind of taught us a lesson on that, didn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. And if you look at history, it was like the Romans were on top, and the Roman civilization was thriving, and then all of a sudden everything kind of crashed. And there's a lot of similarities to if you look at the end of Roman times to the end of like what's happening right now. There's a lot of very similar things happening.
No question about it. And we are not invincible, and anything can happen at any given time unexpectedly. That leaves us in awe, saying, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I never even imagined that ever happening. And it can and will happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it does seem weird. Times have changed. I mean, the biggest thing that to me is somebody, and I grew up in the 80s, and you grew up you grew up a little bit before, but your band was big in the 80s. And it was like, and I was reading about you guys, how Jimmy Swaggart kind of basically tried to cancel you. And that was kind of a big thing in the 80s, was all this like cancel culture. It was a lot of from Christians, right? There was a lot of Christians trying to cancel heavy metal. And that seems to be kind of laid off now. Now it's the left is trying to cancel everybody. Have you heard the latest with Metallica? They're trying to cancel Metallica for being racist and inappropriate jokes towards Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley and all these. There's just like a big list of things.
I think it's the most freaking ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. I can't stand it. And what's really pathetic about it is it's coming from schooled, so-called smart people.
Right.
The smartest people we have to offer, who are coming up with these crazy ideas. We were just watching the show Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And they had a bottle, my wife pointed out, they had a bottle of syrup, pancake syrup. And instead of Mrs. Buttersworth, it said Butterworth or Buttersworth. They took the Mrs. off. And my wife pointed out, I didn't even pick up on it. I'm just thinking, this is insanity. It's just so stupid. So are we going to live in a world in the near future where you can't use the terms Mr. and Mrs.? I think so.
It's getting weird. Yeah. And I don't understand the intent behind it. This seems like a very bizarre intent. It's funny because my buddy's a Christian. And he always talks about Christians are going to be the first people to be persecuted. And he always jokes he's going to end up in the gulag. That's what he says. Like,
Man, it is. You have to joke about it because
Right.
the laughter is what gets you through it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm telling you, as crazy as it sounds, that's where we're headed. And I think the intent and the purpose is to basically, our children are being taught this in schools, that there's no gender. We're moving into that phase. I went somewhere overseas and went into a non-gender restroom, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I didn't like it. I don't think most people do like it. I like to go in and pee privately, and I think most men do and most women do. But it's getting to a point where it's just, I don't know how else to put it. There's one word that always pops into my mind, always, and it's the one word that I go to, and that word is evil. It's literally like evil consuming our society because it's all based on, it's not holy, you know, to try to indoctrinate and change this and change that. And it's just so bizarre to me. I don't
Hmm.
understand. But look, my opinion doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I'm a small voice in a very large sea, and but boy, it's just strange. I think more people need to speak up and be loud, or we're going to find ourselves in 10 years in a really messed up world, man. We're there already.
Yeah, it does seem like people are scared because they don't want to get canceled. So then nobody says anything when some of the canceling is kind of BS, or they're digging up. So I think it's weird when people dig stuff up from 30 years ago and say, look at this person said something that's inappropriate now, but maybe at the time it wasn't, or maybe they've changed in 30 years. And it's odd.
It's ridiculous. And that's the thing. We all make mistakes. I've said things that I've regretted and I've apologized for. We all have. We all do. We all will. And it's just stupid. If you sincerely apologize and turn from that, change from that, I applaud that. But man, it's just so crazy. And it's sad to see. And it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And we're a band that's already been canceled. So I don't care, man. We were canceled years ago, and people, because of what we stand for and who we stand for, they don't want to accept us, and they try to cancel us every day, every minute, every hour. I'm used to it. So that's part of the reason why I don't care what I say. I'm an open book, man. I speak my heart. I voted for Trump. Yeah, I voted for Trump. Would I again? Sure, I would. Because the reason why is because I'm tired of what we're getting now, the typical politicians that just continue to steal and lie. And I'd rather have someone that tweets mean tweets and at least tries to change the system versus someone that tweets nice tweets and doesn't change the system at all or makes it worse. So I'm open about who I am. It doesn't make me a shameful person or a bad person. I'm very open about it, and if that means I lose fans and I make people enemies, I guess that's just the way it goes. But at least I can go to my grave at the end of my days knowing that I was real and I wasn't artificial.
Hmm.
I was scared. You know.
Right. Well, I think that's part of your brand too, is the Christian metal. I mean, so it's going to be a lot of people that probably share a lot of your same beliefs.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of Christians that didn't vote for Trump. I know a lot of Christians that voted for President Biden. I mean, everyone's different, but I do think that a lot of Christians share similar beliefs and some of my beliefs, but definitely not all of them. Because
Hmm.
I've always talked about how I like bourbon, and all those Christians get up in arms when I say that.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
what is the rule with that? Like, you can't, like, you don't want to get drunk if you're living a Christian lifestyle, but you can still have my grandpa drank every day and he was Catholic.
yeah. I mean, I enjoy bourbon, and I of course never want to put myself in a position where I'm so drunk that I'm irresponsible and doing bad things. But I enjoy bourbon. I like the taste of it. I like going out and trying different bourbons, and it's fun to me. I enjoy it. It doesn't control me, so therefore I have no problem with that. So another Christian that comes and says I should have a problem with that, I basically tell them to, go to somewhere else, to someone else, and preach to them, because it's not going to work on me. I don't have an issue with it. Now, if you were a recovering alcoholic and you have a bourbon and it causes you to fall back into that, I get that. I totally get that. But it's just a lot of Christians don't understand Michael Sweet, because I just talk about that stuff freely, and they're like, "What?" It's hard for them to understand. That's all.
Yeah, you guys did kind of go through a party phase in the '80s. After that, was it like what was it? It was the Against the Law album. That was kind of your party phase, and you kind of grew out of it, though, right?
Yeah, we had a party phase before we rededicated our lives. So back from I became a Christian when I was 12, almost 13. I was born in 63. So do the math on that. 75, 76, just from 75, 76, all the way up to 83. I was doing all the worldly stuff, really lots of drinking, smoking, and, obsessive amounts, and doing the whole Hollywood club scene. And then I rededicated my life. And then during Against the Law period, from 1983 up to 1990 is when we were really walking the straight and narrow. And then 90 to 91 is when we started drinking again and going through our party phase again. And our marriages were suffering because of it. A lot of things were going on that just weren't godly, and certainly were hypocritical, according to everything we were singing about and saying on stage. So yeah, it was a time that I just felt like I needed to change my life, or I was going to get sucked into the black hole. And I did. I left the band. That's how I changed my life. It had to be that drastic. I had to leave. I had to get out.
And then how did you get sober, or maybe not necessarily sober, but you cut it down to where you can manage having a bourbon every now and then?
Yeah. And I wouldn't even say I was never an alcoholic, ever. I was a weekend drinker, during those days. We'd get together and have parties, and I'd drink them, but then during the week I wouldn't have a sip of alcohol. I've never had an issue with alcohol, never been an addictive personality in that sense, with smoking, with drinking, anything like that. But now I just, I can go buy a bottle of bourbon or two really expensive high-end bottles of bourbon, and they'll still be sitting in my cabinet, in my cupboard, a year later. I'll still have a little left. So it's just a matter of sipping, put some in a cup and have some at night to relax or whatever. And it's not even every night. It's like I haven't had a bourbon in maybe, it's been a long time for me. It's been like 3 nights.
Okay. What's your favorite bourbon? Is there one that's your go-to?
Oh man, I enjoy the experience of trying different bourbons. There's a few different ones that I really enjoy. Angel's Envy is one of them, for sure. There's a Jefferson's that I love. Particular Jefferson. There's one called Michter's, a certain batch that I love. But I also love the experience of, like, when we travel, we go to towns and they know I like bourbon. They're like, "Hey, we got your really nice bottle of bourbon." I'm like, "Oh, wow." And we'll have a little bit, the night after the show, by the pool, the back of the hotel, myself and the promoter and a few band members. And I'm like, wow, I can really taste so that's the experience.
Yeah.
The social side of it. And it's just so much, it's enjoyable for me,
Yeah. How does that work when you, cause I would think that's always the most interesting thing about me with bands and touring, especially with other bands, some different levels of drinking, and some go really hard and then some don't. A lot of people are dead sober, and also just different personalities. How do you get along with different personalities on tour and in bands?
Well, the ones that are dead sober, the people that I know, friends in bands, were literally alcoholics, hardcore. Every time I saw them, they were falling on their face drunk. You know what I mean? Yeah, alcoholics. And they're sober now, and God bless them. That's fantastic. I've never, ever, ever in my life been like that, ever. And that's not to say that, I couldn't be. I'm just saying I've never been like that. So the way I do it is, I don't drink before a show. I don't ever drink before a show, because obviously when I'm doing a show, what's up, Lisa? Yeah.
Sorry, you have your 12 o'clock.
Okay.
In 1 minute.
Okay, I'll have to be just a little late. But anyway, I never drink before a show. It's always after, when I'm relaxing, and it's not even always after. Just sometimes.
Yeah.
But I just, I try to be responsible. It's all about being responsible and observing the situation. And if I'm in a room of guys that are former alcoholics, I'm not going to say, "Hey, you guys want a bourbon?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
a bottle of bourbon. I'd be cautious and careful, but it's something that I enjoy and I don't have a problem with, because it doesn't control me.
Sure. No, yeah, it's always interesting with the personalities, and also because you were in that band with Tracii Guns, and I thought that was an interesting pair. I love both your musical. I love your singing. I love his guitar. But I'm thinking personality. I mean, you're like you're pro-Trump. He's very anti-Trump. Does that something you guys just don't even talk about when you're making music together, or?
Well, I mean, Tracii and I haven't really been together in the same room, in a sense, in terms of recording or even touring, really.
Mm-hmm.
We've been together a few times and hung out a few times. He came and jammed with Stryper, and, we've shared some moments, but we haven't really hung out a lot. So we haven't gotten there yet. When we get there, I'm sure we'll be fine, because I respect Tracii, I think, and hope he respects me. We're friends, and I think people can prove that even if you have differences politically, religiously, spiritually, all of that stuff, you can still be best of friends.
I think I agree.
I'm good friends with George Lynch. I'm good friends with Todd LaTorre. They're both atheists. They don't believe in God, and I do. So, but we're able to make music together and laugh together and have great moments and text each other and call each other. And you know what I mean? That doesn't mean you can't be friends.
No, I heard, and this is another one that I think was so fascinating. Richard Christy, the drummer of the metal band Death, and he's a writer on Howard Stern show, is a huge fan of you and Stryper. Yeah,
Richard's a sweet guy. Love him so much. And he used to come and see us when he was a kid. His mom would bring him to see us perform Stryper. Way back in the day, I think In God We Trust tour, Todd LaTorre as well. And it's just really fascinating to me to see and meet all these guys that have, played such a part and been a part of our history from their childhoods, who are now in other bands. And we're friends now, and it just blows my mind. And it shows you the power of music and the power of the message. And I do think the music and the message has, somehow shined a light on their lives and in their hearts, because they've shared that with me. Really cool. It's inspired them. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, isn't the guy from Korn, the guitarist from Korn, also a Christian? Are you friends with him at all, Brian?
He's a Christian. I'm not really friends with him. I mean, I've met him a few times. Not friends enough to text or call or anything like that, but yeah. I met him a few times.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, I know you got to get going. So we got the new album coming out in October. You got a tour, I think, that's kicking off August 20th, or I see tour dates on the website.
We got a tour kicking off. This is the second round ground tour. And we're going to do, I believe, I want to say 21 dates. And we've got a few dates coming up next week. Monsters on the Mountain, solo and Stryper. And then we've got a run in October where we're going and doing a few South American dates. And then we got a Mexico run. We've got so much going on, man. And then the new album comes out October. And then next year, I'm sure we're going to tour a lot for that.
Yeah. And I saw something about a documentary from Kickstarter. Is that out now, or is that coming out?
That's coming out. We still have to finish it. We've got a lot of work to do on it, but that'll be coming out, if I had to say safely, it would not even be next year, but it would get finished next year, and it would come out in 2024. That's probably pretty safe to say.
Okay. And then also I saw, this is so cool. There's like this, what is it? Like a battle van, this toy thing. This looks so cool. It's like got a machine gun. This is something that I would have loved when I was a kid. And it's a Stryper battle toy. I don't know. It's really neat.
Well, we're all kids still at heart, man. It doesn't matter how we are, right? And we came up with the idea to create this toy van replica to mostly to write down to every detail, but not 100%, of the original Stryper Soldiers Under Command van that's on the cover. And we realized once we decided to do it that it's very expensive to do because these things are like really well made. They're not just cheap models. And therefore the price tag is on the higher side. But man, I think they're sold out, and we're going to have them anytime now, and they're going to ship, and people are going to love them. So cool.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'll let you get to your next interview. I always end each episode with a charity. Is there a nonprofit or a cause that people can donate money to after they buy some Stryper stuff?
Oh my gosh, we work with a number of nonprofits, and they're all slipping my mind right now. My wife worked for Ark of CapeCod. She was there for years, and I know that Stryper donated a lot to that, and we would send people. So that's a great one.
All right, I'll put that in the notes along with your website, and people could check for the new albums coming out and check tour dates if they're coming to their city.
All right, brother.
All right, thanks so much, Michael. That was a lot of fun.
God bless you, man. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
All right, keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you again to Michael Sweet. Make sure to check out the new singles. They're out now, and the upcoming album from Stryper. Check the website for current tour dates. If you are a fan of these bands, make sure you support them. Go see a show, buy some merch, follow them on social media, share their stuff, etc. Still just trying to keep rock alive, and not just music, but I try to support other art, authors. I have a good variety of guests. If you want to support my show, your likes, shares, and comments on YouTube and social media help me out immensely, and I'm eternally grateful. Have a great day and shoot for the moon.